Just go here.
No, you gotta go on there.
Yeah. All right, good evening, everybody. How are we doing out there? Nice. A little bit disappointed at the Christmas sweater turnout, not going to lie. But we got some good shout-outs for sure. So give it up for the people who did wear their Christmas sweaters for this Christmas edition. Excellent. So if you know why you're here, you probably know why you're here. And if you don't know why you're here, then you're about to get snow nerded out for a long time, probably. This is the State of the Snowpack. So the State of the Snowpack is an awesome event that's been going on in Nelson here for a few years. And we're just going to dive right into it. So before we get too deep into it, I'd just like to do a land acknowledgement. We'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered here on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded homeland of the Sinaiks, Syilx, and Ktunaxa peoples. And we feel privileged and grateful to get to recreate and explore and be a part of this area and this community. And so we want to demonstrate our intentions to honor this land, water, and everything in it. So that's very important to us here. Also, important disclaimer, the information that you're going to see tonight is our own observations to the best of the people who are presenting those ability, and the presentation does not replace actual Avalanche training. So if you have Avalanche training, who here has done an AST1? Hands up. Nice. Excellent. Who's done an AST2? All right. Okay, getting better. Who's got like professional level certifications out there? What the heck are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's a great community event for everybody. But yeah, if you don't have Avalanche education, I highly encourage that you pursue it. And if you do, that's awesome. And I think you probably know then if you do that it's a lifelong learning experience. But yeah, what you do with the information that you see tonight is your responsibility, and you should use it responsibly. So what is State of the Snowpack? It is community conversations, saving lives in the backcountry. So State of the Snowpack has been around for a few years here in Nelson, like I mentioned. The goal is to decrease backcountry avalanche incidents in our area and share lots of information so that everybody can go out there and be as educated as possible. And we're trying to bridge the gap between the Avalanche Canada regional forecast and all of the other information that's out there. So those of you that have lived in the Kootenays, who's living around Nelson? Most people? Yeah, nice. Those of you who've lived in the Kootenays for a while probably know there's like 1,065,000 guiding operations and ski hills and industry stuff like that. So there's lots of really awesome information out there. And we're trying to bridge the gap between the Avalanche Canada forecast and give you some even more local information to really dial things in for you. And then share information gathered, allowing everybody to make the most informed decisions possible with the ultimate goal of coming home every night, right? Right? Yeah, skiing POW is super fun, but skiing POW tomorrow is also super fun. And next week. Yeah, so it's really good. If you haven't done it yet, you should check out the State of the Snowpack website. It's brand new this year, so a lot of work went into that. So give it up for the State of the Snowpack team for putting in tons of hard work all the time behind the scenes. You have no idea. And there's all sorts of stuff on there. It's got the event schedule. I think, Kath, we have 2 more or 3 more events this season. 3 more events this season. And then if you go to them all, there's a really great prize opportunity, which we're going to talk about. But there's also Snowpack updates and blogs, and then there's some long format videos on there too, because Instagram really trims things down these days, so you can get all the goods from our website there. Next, I'd like to just give a big thank you to Morgan Dinsdale. Those of you that don't know Morgan was kind of the visionary behind this event. It was something that she saw when she was in Jackson Hole, and it was a community event there, and I think she was really inspired by it. And when she came here to Nelson, she was super inspired by the backcountry community and how many people were getting after it. And I think most of us are super inspired by that because it's really important to us. And we have such an awesome community, and Morgan just saw an opportunity to create more value for everybody in that community. So thanks, Morgan, for bringing the State of the Snowpack to Nelson. Give it up. And then behind me here, this is the State of the Snowpack Nelson event and contributor team. So all these people are involved either up here on stage, out there in the field, or behind the scenes, which behind the scenes is actually probably some of the most important work that goes into this. So you can give it up for all of those people as well. A lot of hard work goes into creating this community-oriented and free event that hopefully keeps us all educated and dialed in out there. And then a thanks to some of our sponsors, Hub Insurance, Northbridge Insurance, Rainy something, Medical Mountain Consulting. Is that all one? Mountain Medical Consulting. Right. Apparently that's maybe right. And then also to our partners, Kootenay Backcountry Guides, The Royal for putting us up here every time, slanging pints all night long and putting out good food, Whitewater Ski Resort, and She Shreds Mountain Adventures. So those are some of the big players here helping support State of the Snowpack. And if you want to get involved, if you want to donate, obviously there's a QR code up here. If you want to be a sponsor and get involved sponsoring State of the Snowpack, some information there. And then finally, if you want to be part of the contributor team, just have a check on all that stuff there. And all of this stuff is on that beautiful new website that we talked about. So super important there. And then this is the raffle information. So I think we're going to do raffle ticket sales till the end of the intermission is what we try to do. So from now until the end of the intermission, if you hadn't had your chance, hop on up here and you can purchase raffle tickets. There's some really awesome raffle prizes out there tonight. So all of this stuff is being given away tonight. State of the Snowpack toque. We've got some custom footbeds that were donated by Jerix, I believe. And then we got Phantom Wax donated by Rome. An awesome hippie fanny pack here from Northern Ultralight, which is a local company there. Yeah, perfect for Shambhala. And then I think we got a Whitewater Ski Resort pass. We got some stickers. We got some awesome gloves, a hat, and this Blizzard, not Blizzard, toque, and a $25 gift certificate to Village Ski Hut. So that's all going out tonight. That's awesome. Give it up for our sponsors for donating all that stuff. And then who here was at the first event? Hands up again if you were at the first event. Awesome. So you may or may not remember, but at the first event we talked about a long-running raffle that goes from the start to the finish. So if you go to all 5 State of the Snowpack events this year, or even if you don't go, if you go online and buy raffle tickets for all 5 events, then you get entered for the grand prize, which is a super big deal this year. We've got 3 awesome items. The first item is this Dreamline backpack here from Northern Ultralight. Who has seen these out there before? If you haven't seen these things are freaking awesome. I had the opportunity to test one of the first iterations of this. It was made by Scott here. He lives in town and makes them locally in town. These are handmade. And they're really, really killer ski touring backpacks with all of the features that you could ever want, and none of the ones that you don't. So those are super sweet. That's getting given away at the end of the year. We're also getting a 2-night stay at White Grizzly Lodge in the off season, so you can go out there and you can be there for bear viewing season or summer or fall or whatever. There's lots of things to do up in Meadow Creek and the Lardo area. Lots of grizzly bears around. And then also, just added, we're giving away a pair of Armada skis donated by Jarek Sports in Nelson. And I believe it's the ARV 112. A lot of numbers. Anyways, those are the 3 grand prizes for the raffle. They get given away at the end of the year, so you have to enter in all 5 raffle draws to have your name entered in that. And those are pretty wicked prizes, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, time for what you came here for. We're going to introduce tonight's presenters. So first off tonight, we're going to have Judson again, Judson Wright. He is the owner and lead guide for Kootenay Backcountry Guides and also the operations manager at White Grizzly, co-founder and vice chair of State of the Snowpack. And he's going to be presenting the State of the Snowpack, ladies and gentlemen. And then we're going to have a little intermission. And then after that, we're going to have Kat and Cheryl come up and talk to us about Mountain Muskox, which is a really, really, really awesome initiative that we are lucky to have here in the Kootenays. And it's all about support for people who have experienced trauma in the mountains. So this is a super, super valuable resource that we have, and we're super lucky to have those 2 here today. So give it up for them as well. Awesome. Without farther ado, ladies and gentlemen, Judson Wright.
Yow. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming to these and continuing to support us and what we do, continuing to nerd out and be weird. It's a Friday night here, right? First ever Friday night in the Royal. We've moved up in the world, I guess, here. And everybody here, it's like, you know, it's Friday night before Christmas. This is like only the hardcores are here tonight. Just the hardcores who are into this are here now. Everyone else is at Christmas parties or visiting fam. But no, all of you want to hear about esoteric details about the Snowpack. So yeah, good on you. You're my peeps. I love you. So we're going to talk about the current state of the Snowpack. Basically, the season here is basically still on track. I'm not going to get too negative with stuff out there. There is some negativity brewing, but I'm going to try to keep things positive vibes as much as I can. We'll go over the seasonal history so far, notable storms and layers, surface hoar versus crust facet layers. So that's what's going on out there. So I'm going to dive a little bit into the details on those two layers and what they mean. And then we're going to cover some test results and avalanches out there. Right on. So basically, the current state of the Snowpack is be careful of lumps of coal in your stocking. Santa has delivered a complicated snowpack. So yeah, look out. Just be nice over the next few days here, and then baby Jesus and Santa will hook us up, hopefully over Christmas. That's what we're shooting at, okay? So last couple of days, this is what we've seen going on out there. This was yesterday with the tribute crew, came out to White Grizzly, and it was stacked out there. So sick. Such an awesome day out there. Are any of the tribute guys here? We got Jack here. Did any of the other guys come? I was out with Toby as well.
That was insane.
Yeah. There's Mark Fawcett getting pitted on the board. And then look at this one. I believe this is Mikey from the tribute team who just sent it. I was like, how do you even go so fast down the... What are you doing? Explode. Bam. And then I freeze shot him hitting the pillow. And we'll talk about what is under there. You can see those cracks happening. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Right on. So here's the seasonal history. Where did my little pointer go, crew? I probably took it off a stage. I had the pointer. There it is, right on. And then a drink too. Oh, okay, my drinks are there, right on. So laser pointer. So these are the seasonal histories. Unfortunately, the way that the viz is a little bit out. But that green line, that is last year. So that is our sad sack of a start last year. Our sad sack of a season that was basically a historical low for water content in the Snowpack. And the blue line here, that's us this year. So we can see how November was awesome. And then we got a bit of a drought going on, and now it's added up again. And we're basically right at our historical norm for like the amount of water content in the Snowpack. So that's not just like the depth, it's actually the water content. So that gives us a bit of a indication of how strong the Snowpack is out there, because water content is key. And then one of the sad things about last year is that this right here, that was rain. So these things actually trap rain as well as snow, and then that was rain, and then we see it barely went up. And this day last year, so I'm pretty sure it's like solstice today, right? So like last year, solstice was the most depressing day I'd ever had in guiding, or like really in the ski industry. It was solstice, it was winter. I went for a tour up to Whitewater. We barely had anything open. It was totally like it was in the tropics. It was totally fog everywhere and mist. And I went from ice crust from isothermal snow touring up into ice crust, and there was never POW at any point on this walk. And I was like, it's December 21st. What is going on? So yeah, it warmed up a bit today, but ultimately we're still sitting at a pretty good spot right now with our overall depth. And so the question is, like, why do we use this? Like, right? Like, why do I use this? And this is like just my favorite tracking tool for me to just look and see where we're at. And it's at Redfish. And you can just go and Google Redfish Snow Pillow, and you can go in there, and they actually have like a full-on website, and there's a webcam of it. Everything is there, and yeah, it's an excellent tool to just look at how much water content. They use it to river forecast, right? So the government spends a bunch of money on these, and there's sites all over the place doing this. So notable storms. So in October, we had like limited snowfall, and then on November 2nd, we got about 40 centimeters in 24 hours, and it continued a bit until December 7th. Then, and November 11th to 14th, the powder taps turned back on, and that storm buried a melt freeze crust that's not been a problem. So there's a melt freeze crust from this right at the bottom of the snowpack. Haven't really seen any avalanches on it. So that deep crust layer that we've had the last few years, we're not really seeing that yet in our snowpack, which is great. And so then on November 15th, we had a short break with surface hoar formation and isolated sun crust. Then on November 17th to 27th, that's when it just puked, and that's when we got that like 80 centimeter storm of cold smoke, and it really filled everything in. Everything got filled, and that's why our coverage is great. When we get these big honking storms that dump 80 centimeters, it tends to fill things in uniformly. The alder laid down a bit. It was like good for the alder and excellent for skiing, and it was deep pow. That photo there of just my hand coming up, that's on November 21st. And yeah, it was excellent. I had one of my best early seasons ever in terms of like startup. And then November 27th to December 6th, we had high pressure surface hoar growth. And that's when I was talking on the last day of the snowpack about what was going on the surface. We had a crust and surface hoar, and I was like, oh, this is likely going to become a problem. But then it rained on top of it. So that was actually potentially a little bit of a positive thing in some respects, was the rain. But what happened is it only rained in some places and other places not. Okay, and then that actually rain caused another crust, which has started to become problematic again. Okay, so December 6th to 9th, the temperature inversion broke, and then that storm brought in freezing rain to some locations and snow in others. Basically, the further north you go, the less rain fell, and most locations got 30 centimeters of snow during that time, but places on the north end of Kootenay Lake got up to 60 centimeters, sitting on this huge surface hoar layer. Then there was so that created basically what I call like a complex situation where spatial variability is a key factor. So anyone here from the last state of the snowpack who can describe spatial variability? I got a prize for you. What is spatial variability out there? We got a hat. What am I talking about?
Geographical variability of snowpack depending on location.
Excellent. There we go. Nailed it. Right out there.
I think you used Google.
Yeah, I was using ChatGPT. I saw you cheat. Here's a hat for you. Throw it on over there. Oh. Yeah, nice catch. He's a skier, not a baseball player. So then on December 10th, another layer of surface hoar forms up to 12 millimeters. And this was only seemed to be around Whitewater. And Whitewater seemed to have this big surface hoar. And then on the 12th, they got a little bit of a skiff of snow. And no one else got that. So it's kind of like a unique situation where Whitewater has this layer and has a skiff of snow on it. And then elsewhere it doesn't really have it. And they kind of had smaller surface hoar. They're the only ones reporting 12 millimeter surface hoar on the 12th, which I thought was kind of interesting. I dug through, I spent a bunch of time today just digging through the InfoX on the seasonal histories, and nowhere seemed to be similar. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to like kind of get this into a cohesive thing with what was going on out there? Well, we'll try here. So then on December 18th, anywhere between 25 and 35 centimeters of snow falls over the region. Some places, like Kootenay Pass, had huge water content in that snow. So there was tons of like water in that snow. And then up north where I was, it was just like blower pow, as you can see from the videos. Just blower, nice pow up north, and like warmer down here. So then it got warm on December 19th and today. And 5 to 7 centimeters of snow fell and a ton of wind. So during that last storm around here, there was a ton of wind loading, and then it got warm today. So that's basically what we got going. Give me one sec. Just need to wet my lips. Yeah, so basically, I know you're all sitting there thinking, God, I need a drink now. I've gone through this whole thing, time to relax here. And yeah, waiting for me to get to the point. What is the point of all this? And here we go. So I kind of sketched it out for everybody as best I could. And so we have the November 11th melt freeze crust. It's down just 10 to 15 centimeters off the ground. Then we have this December 7th surface hoar. It's down 50 to 70 centimeters. And it's also a melt freeze crust. And in places, there's facets sitting on top of it. Okay? So up north, this layer on the north end of the lake, the sort of Goat Range and north, it's a surface hoar layer. Down here, it's a crust layer with a bit of facets on it. Okay? Then there's this December 12th surface hoar and melt freeze crust. The only place I could find this melt freeze crust reported was in the Bonningtons. They said they had this tiny little melt freeze crust on south aspects, making it electric just on the south, just to add in the complication there, right? 1 centimeter thick with 2 millimeters of facets on it. And then Whitewater is also saying that there's like a surface hoar layer. And then elsewhere, we're calling it the December 14th layer. So when a layer gets buried, that's how we date it. And I'm finding that across the region, there's all kinds of different dates on these layers. But essentially, you can kind of lump the 12th and the 14th in together because they're very similar. And then the 7th, some people call it the 6th, but essentially it's just the 6th or 7th surface hoar layer and melt freeze crust that's differentiated by in the south melt freeze, north surface hoar. And now we have our most recent storm slab, wind slab, and moist snow to the top of Summit Chair. No! So it got to like 0 degrees today at the top of Summit Chair, and it was moist out there. These are the reports. I was not there, but yeah, it was apparently raining a bit as well. My guides that were in the field said that the R word had occurred out there. But we're going to turn it around, okay? We're going to turn around with good vibes, and the temperature's going to drop, and it's all going to be good. And maybe the warmth, this warmth is going to be good for the snowpack, okay? Yeah, right? Right? Yeah. There we go. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the key differences between crust facet layers and surface hoar. So I found this cool little diagram here, and basically surface hoar forms on the surface. When there's a crust, often you get facets under the crust, and sometimes you get them on top of the crust. The problem really arises when there are facets sitting on top of a crust and there's also surface hoar, but either one can be a thing. And facets can still cause big avalanches, but they're the worst when they're on a crust. So like any of these crystals that form on a crust, not good. Any of them on their own, also not good, but worse is both of them or either one sitting on a crust. All of the worst layers I've ever managed in my career are all sitting on a crust, okay? So we're getting increased crusts out there because of the warmth and the change in the temperature, and I think that that's going to lead in the future to, and I'm already seeing it, more and more tricky avalanche problems that linger longer because they're sitting on the crust, right? So surface hoar, basically what sets it apart from other types of facets is it's created through the growth of new crystals and not the metamorphism of existing snow crystals. So surface hoar are feathery, they're fragile, they're in the picture there, they're easily knocked down, they're beautiful when you ski on them, and it may remain standing in some areas and disappear in others. Kind of a bit of an enigma once it gets buried, right? So it likes to form in open areas and can be unevenly distributed throughout the terrain, and it can form rapidly and grow into large crystals in one night, just like that 12th layer at Whitewater where they reported up to 12 millimeter size surface hoar forming in one night. That's a huge crystal, and it happened in one night. Some people say that it's from clear nights and cold. Surface hoar can happen any time that like energy is leaving the snowpack. So I've seen it form from just wet snow, and then it goes clear, and it dries it out, and the moisture leaves and forms on the surface. It can also form during the day, believe it or not. It doesn't have to be at night. And if it's super cold, it doesn't form at all. So too cold, no surface hoar. Surface hoar actually likes warmer temperatures to form in with no wind and high humidity. Okay? So classic is temperature inversions around here. Temperature inversions around here at the top of the clouds, out where the sun has been, that is where you get the biggest surface hoar in the Kootenays. It's easily triggered when an overlying slab gains mass, and it can either take days or months to heal, and sometimes it lingers weeks before waking up. Just sit in the snowpack for a while, not getting a big load on it, and then boom, weeks later, it becomes a thing. Facets. So these are snow grains within the snowpack that have transformed into larger angular grains. They have weak bonds with the neighboring snow grains, and it's referred to as sugary snow. So when you're out there, you're picking up those sugary snow, and it's not sticking. You can't make snowballs out of it. That is facets. So they can also form on the surface of the snow, and they're usually associated with surface hoar as well. They can form in the middle of the snowpack, towards the ground, anywhere in the snowpack. They're often associated with crusts. So crusts and facets go hand in hand because there's a vapor transfer there that goes on. And then facets are a problem when there's, are often a problem, but they're more of a problem sitting on top of a crust. So they're not as volatile as surface hoar unless they're on a crust. And then they're often much more widespread, right? Surface hoar forms in patchy places all over the place often, but facets can just be like this widespread thing that happens all over the place. So once formed, they can take a very long time to heal, and when associated with a crust, I've seen some crust facet layers have multiple avalanche cycles on the same layer, okay? So the layer last year that went off around Whitewater, that layer that happened from that warm spell in early February, formed a crust. We had a little bit of snow. Then we had some dry spells. That was a classic crust facet layer, okay? And it was creating these supersized avalanches. So here's a little diagram basically of 5 Mile Creek to show you how I view surface hoar forming. So this is how surface hoar forms. It will just form in patches throughout the terrain randomly, and so that's why it's so hard to track and know where it's going, right? Is like it's kind of it's not all over the place, it's just in places. And so when you're ski touring in a place and you're going back and forth, or you're going back regularly, it's important to track where that surface hoar formed. To be like, oh, I saw big crystals in this zone, because then weeks later, they might crop up to get you, and that's what facets do. There is 5 Mile Creek with a facet problem and a crust problem, right? So it would be the entire valley becomes a problem with it, right? So here's our problem. This is us over the holidays. Do we worry about the surface hoar layer or worry about the facet crust layer? Which one is it? Who votes for surface hoar? Who wants to worry about the surface hoar? Hands up. Okay, who wants to worry about the crust facet layers? Hands up. Who doesn't want to worry at all? Yeah. Okay, let's hope that doesn't happen, right? Got a message from Morgan yesterday, and she sent me right before I went in the field. Yesterday was the most electric day of avalanche activity I've had in my career. So proud of my team to have managed it without incident. That was on the north end of the lake in the Meadow Creek area, and I went out that day, and we had whomping all over the place and whatnot. It was going off, and that was a surface hoar layer. Okay, so test results. I'll talk a little bit about test results here. This was today in the Boningtons on a south aspect at 2,000 meters on a 32-degree slope. The depth of the snowpack was 170 centimeters. They were in open-gladed slopes. And so that jargon there basically means there's extended column tests. Extended column test is a 90-centimeter block. So instead of doing the 30, you do a 90. And when they cut it, it failed, down 50. So they just cut it and it failed. They didn't even have to tap it at all. As soon as they cut it, it failed. And it failed just above the December 12th melt freeze crust. And in my opinion, that's kind of all you need to know for tests out there. Is like, if that's what's going on, you don't need to think too much. You don't need to do a lot more tests. I have showed you that's what's going on in some places. The snowpack is highly variable all over the place. And you could dig somewhere and not get a test like this. And around the corner, you could have a test like that, right? So it's tricky and hard to know. And the best course of action is just to tone it down until the hazard pulls back, right? Until we're seeing less avalanche activity. And you can see from this picture I included here, you can see the slab like breaking out when this guy hit the pillow. All the pillows we were hitting yesterday, they were all cracking down 50 to 60 centimeters in the terrain. So avalanches, here's some photos of surface hoar avalanches up in the north. You can see them happening in the trees in openings, right? Below ridge top there, cracking out. Those are like size 2s and 2.5, some pretty wide, impressive propagation occurring on those layers. And then, so here's a little bit more. You can see what they got yesterday in Goat Slide here. Thank you, Whitewater Patrol, Dave and Douglas, for sharing with me what happened. And so basically what they're saying is that when the storm came in, this layer was super touchy, meaning you could make it avalanche quite easily. You could do ski cuts, they could throw small charges. And then yesterday, it was warmer, and they had a harder time triggering the layers. It bonded just a little bit, and to me, that's almost like more dangerous because then it's harder to make it happen. It's harder to make it slide. You don't see the evidence as easily, and then you get slapped when you're getting confident because you're like, I can't make this thing go. The evidence isn't in front of you, and as these layers become harder to trigger, they become harder to forecast and manage, okay? So it's really easy to go out there when it's Avalanche Ranch like 2 days ago and be like, I'm going to hit pow laps at the hill and I'm going to stay out of terrain. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're kind of not seeing avalanches. It's like we're getting the odd one. And then that's when I think people get whacked because it's harder to forecast and the decision making is so much harder, right? So we basically saw this widespread natural and human triggered slides up to size 2.5. Size 2.5 would fill up this room with snow, right? So picture that. The size 2.5 would fill up this room and be big enough to bury all of us, right? It would like knock a car over, probably damage it. You know, size 3, the next one is breaking a bunch of trees and smashing right through the windows here. Right, so size 2.5 is for real. And yeah, there were natural and human ones. Some were remotely caused by machines and humans. A remote avalanche is when one is triggered away from you. You're like ski touring and boom, it cracks out and goes on another slope. They're super dangerous. That's what we were seeing the other day. And that's basically what a whomp happens, and then it can crack around the corner and go somewhere else or trigger slopes up above you. Right? That's what we're always trying to watch for is that connected terrain. Yeah, and there was also just widespread whoomping and cracking throughout the snowpack yesterday. So yeah, into what Avalanche Canada is saying here. So tomorrow, considerable, and then they're dropping it to moderate. See what I mean by like they may not drop it. This is like a forecast for the future, right? So they may not go to moderate. We'll see, but this is their best guess at what's going to happen here. This is when things might get a little bit trickier. They're calling, now they've added a persistent slab. Yesterday it wasn't in there. So today they're saying the main thing is the persistent slab problem. All elevations, all aspects, possible, expected size up to size 3 there, they're saying. And surface hoar in some areas, a crust in others produce large surprising avalanches in the past few days. Be especially cautious in steep openings and below tree line. And then the next one is the storm slab. So this one's, the persistent slab is deeper and under, and the storm slab is on the surface right now. and likely started to heal with the warmer temperatures, but could remain reactive in wind-loaded terrain. How are the winds up there today? Was it crazy windy or what? No? Calm. Yeah, so they're saying terrain and travel advice, stay off recently wind-loaded slopes until they have a chance to stabilize, and uncertainty is best managed through conservative terrain choices. Approach steep and open slopes at and below tree line cautiously, as buried surface ore may exist, and be aware of potential large avalanches due to the buried crust. Snowpack, they're saying as much as 60 has fallen, and then they're mentioning the same thing, the surface ore and sheltered shaded terrain, and the crust as well, buried 40 to 90, and most reactive in the goat range, and then the lower snowpack is strong and bonded. That's awesome. That's great to hear. Like, I've been up here for like the last 4 years consistently talking about these deep crust facet layers, and we don't really have one this year to start out, which is awesome. And the snowpack depths range from 100 to 180. So then we get into our weather summary. I'll get a little bit deeper into it right here. Their confidence is moderate. Their uncertainty due to the fact that persistent slabs are difficult to forecast, just like what I was talking about, and also due to extremely variable snowpack conditions reported throughout the region, which I've already covered as well. So I think all the avalanche professionals in here, we're all on the same page, right? We're all like saying, hey, like, we got a persistent slab problem, being tricky to forecast right now, tone it back, take it easy out there until these layers start to settle out. And so here's our upcoming weather. So I've given you the craziest chart I could find so that you could be like, what the heck is going on? Unfortunately, it's not showing up super well, but this is my glimmer of hope right now for our region right now, and that is that we do have these spikes in temperature, which this is today, this is tomorrow. Those are the spikes, and so then the temperature is going down, which is great, and at the same time we go up, and it looks like it starts snowing after all the way through with 25 millimeters of precip throughout the forecast over the next week, which is great, and our temperatures going down. That is what we want to see, and so I'm feeling great about seeing that. I didn't look at any other charts. If they're bad, don't tell me about them, please. I'm trying to stay positive here. And yeah, maybe this warmth into cool will help us out in not only in the short term, but also right in the long term. That's the best thing that can happen, is that we actually get warm and then cool down again to tighten up the snowpack and heal these layers. So here is
weather conditions tonight. We're expecting winds up to 15 miles per hour and a wintry mix.
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow.
So, yeah, let's be more like that guy. Blessed by the Lord to play in some snow, right? That is what we like to do out there, right? Does anyone have any info about any avalanches or anything in the last couple days or whatever to share up here? We've had some great moments at this event where people have shared personal stories and info that we maybe have missed out there. The professionals haven't. Has anybody seen anything maybe we missed? We're bang on, nailing it. Yeah. What up?
Can you tell a story for a previous year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have seen this happen before, and generally it is a good thing. So the surface ore here got hit by rain and freezing rain, and it nuked in some places. At Kootenay Pass, the forecasters there were telling me that it basically, they could barely see the surface ore there. As well as the guides I talked to in the Bonningtons, the surface ore got pretty much nuked there. I can't say that I can guarantee that, like, because the day after that rain event, I went up into the Kokanee Range. I went to Gibson Lake, and there was a razor-thin crust sitting on top of the surface ore, and I could just see little bits of the striation and just a really thin crust. And then I was like, oh, man, like, in some places the surface ore is gone, and in other places it's not. And so I was like, the other thing with that storm that came in on the 7th is it was inverted. So it started raining. The temperature was warmer up high than down low, and it was raining up high and was actually snowing below it. So there's probably some places where that surface ore is still preserved, but the main thing is that basically doesn't matter because the crust of the 7th was also formed, and we're also getting reactivity on that crust. So pick your poison, it's either the crust or the surface ore. I personally, doesn't matter which one, right? Really. But yeah, the worst of it, from what I can see, is at the north end of the lake. As you go north, where that surface ore was not nuked by the rain, that is where I'm seeing the most reactivity. And that backs up our theory that, yes, like when it gets rained on or freezing rain, the surface ore is less reactive, okay? So tonight's takeaway, things are complicated. Don't expect conditions to be the same everywhere you go. Play it mellow until the next little while. Don't expect the snowpack to heal quickly. It's warm out for the next day or two. Riding in conditions will probably improve over the holidays. So let's all ask Santa for some POW to play in over Christmas. We'll put out the vibes out there, the strong vibes. Ask for that for Christmas. I am still having a sale here at Kootenay Backcountry Guides for all of our courses. Shameless self-promotion. We're giving a GST holiday break. Trudeau didn't do it for the backcountry community here. We are at Kootenay Backcountry Guides. 10% off of everything. Even the lodge-based courses are 10% off. You can hang out with me up at a lodge and Pate as well. And it's an amazing course. That is all. Yeah, right on. Let's bring up Kyle here. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for continuing to make this a event that people are interested in. Spread the word. See you all in a bit.
Awesome. Give it up one more time for Judson, everybody. Sweet. Before we take a little break here, I just want to hit you with a couple things. One of them is probably the best metaphor I've ever heard for managing conditions like this. So going in with, now we have a persistent slab problem and lots going on. So sometimes when people go through the avalanche hazard forecast, they look at the avalanche hazard and then they shut it down. And that's it. They're like, sick, it's green brick today. Or, oh yeah, it's moderate, we're gonna go shred. So imagine yourself going into a boxing match, right? And you're sitting in the corner, you're getting all pumped up, you're ready to go, it's time to get in a fight. And your coach comes up behind you, they're rubbing your shoulders, they're getting right in there, and they're just like, you gotta watch out for this opponent. They're moderately hazardous. What does that do for you? It does almost nothing. Yeah, exactly. But if you keep going through the avalanche forecast and keep attending these events and those kind of things, you get yourself more information. And now that's like having a coach in your corner who comes to you and says, okay, you got to watch over this opponent because they got a strong right hook, but they're a little bit weak on the left-hand side and you can get in there. So make sure you're keeping yourselves educated and actually following through everything and not just looking at the hazard and going, okay, it's dropping, so I'm going to go send it. Because that happens all the time with these persistent slab problems, and that's where you get caught out. And then as well, one more plug for the raffle. That raffle is ending after this little stretch here, so make sure you get your raffle purchases in, and we're going to give those away at the end of the night. And it's now time for intermission, everybody.
Ho, 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 ho.
Whoa, did you hear that? Oh my God, is that Santa? It's Santa! Santa, can we have power for Christmas, please?
Well,
Wait a minute.
I'll do my best.
You're not Santa.
What?
Oh my God, it's Wishy! Hey! He's back!
My triumphant return to the stage, my first time this year. But first of all, Santa would like to make sure, I have some wishes this Christmas, snow is one of them, but that everybody has AST or some level of avalanche training. When you venture into the backcountry, remember backcountry is backcountry, and if you, as soon as you cross a boundary rope anywhere, you are in the backcountry. So you should be prepared with your pack, with an avalanche transceiver, a shovel, and a probe, and a partner to help you in case you get into trouble. And I want everybody to go and look at AvCan's forecast first. Before you head out, make a good plan and do everything you can to keep yourself safe. But because right now it's a little bit warm, I thought Santa'd sing his favorite Christmas song for everybody, and you can chime in if you feel the need, but because I like it when it's a little bit colder than this and we have some lovely snow falling from the sky. So, sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. And gone away is a bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. It sings a love song as we stroll along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. And he'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man. But you can do the job when you're in town. And later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Got me. Walking in a winter or wishy wonderland. Thanks, everybody. Play safe. We got an awesome presentation coming up here by Cheryl and Kat. So get yourself another drink, support the Royals, support us, come scan and get your toque, and yeah, let's all keep her going and let it snow. Cheers.
get settled back in, and we're going to dive into the second half of our State of the Snowpack evening here with Kat and Cheryl from Mountain Muskox. So just remember, this is the last second for the raffle tickets, so you got like a minute or two more to buy those tickets, and they're going to close it down. And we'll be running that raffle right after this lovely presentation, so get yourselves comfortable, find a chair, and we're just going to get things rolling. Come on up, Kat and Cheryl. Woo!
Hi, everyone.
Hi, my name is Roger Yim. I'd like to introduce you to Mountain Muskox. The mountains are a magical place, but inherently dangerous. The Mountain Muskox Mentorship Program provides care and support for any mountain community members who have experienced mountain trauma or loss. We have recognized an urgent need for critical incident care and a peer support network within our community. You're not alone. Together we can thrive. Contact Mountain Muskox today.
Hi everyone, my name is Kat Williamson. I am a counselor and art therapist here in Nelson, and also a lifelong mountain enthusiast and recreationalist. And I'm up here with...
Hi everyone. Oh, this is loud. I'm Cheryl Smith. I'm a licensed psychotherapist and somatic experiencing practitioner here in Nelson. And like Kat, I've been here for 28 years in the Kootenays. That ages me a bit, playing in all these mountains around here. And I also had the opportunity, I worked professionally in the Avalanche patch for years too, between ski patrolling, forecasting, and guiding. So I responded to lots of accidents and rescues, both myself and operationally, and a lot of my colleagues and personal friends have been impacted by trauma and loss in the mountains. So I would say this is a bit of a personal mission for us as well as professional mission too.
Yeah, so we're here to introduce you to Mountain Muskox. This is an organization that was started by a group of guides in the Bow Valley and has since spread to offer chapters in the Sea to Sky, Golden, and now we are proud to say the Kootenays.
Okay, so maybe let's just start with a question for you all. Who here, with a raise of hands, has been blessed by gifts from the mountains? Okay. Yeah! Okay, everybody. And what are some of those things? What are some of the things that the mountains have afforded to you? Just shout it out. Freedom. Oh my gosh, that's my number one. Who said that one? Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, what else we got? Sorry? Joy, yeah. Soul filling, yeah. A spiritual experience, Wishy. Connection, yes. Confidence, yeah, for sure. Who was that? Sorry? Delight. Yeah, absolutely tickled with delight. Yes, very much so. Yeah. Yeah, so many things, right? Like so many things. Like confidence in ourselves. We learn about ourselves. We learn about strength in our personhood, in our physical bodies, connection, community, adventure, freedom, like you name it, right? It gives us a sense of identity. It gives us a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. So what happens if something goes south? You know, when we're in this place of utter tickled pleasure. Then, you know, it can be hard, right? All those things we kind of listed are at risk of being lost. And that's where Mountain Muskox comes in, right? Where we aim to be a supportive, safe community where people can go and process and heal the unique emotions that are attached to mountain life, right? Whether it's loss or trauma, you know, just accumulation of stress over years of working or living or playing in these environments. We want to give people a place to go to process their emotions, to heal, and to be able to find strength to reconnect to our mountain community, right? And with what we've once had.
Yeah, so that takes us on to what we're offering here, which is monthly peer support circles for people who have been impacted by loss or trauma in the mountains. And these are circles for people to come and share their experiences or to just be, just to listen. It's really, all is welcome, and whatever participants are wanting to do there or wanting to make of the place or make of the space. The main focus is to create a supportive community that acknowledges and supports this aspect of mountain life. So what we do here is offer practical tools for navigating emotions and healing, strength through shared experiences, so hearing each other's stories and finding connections, and most importantly, recognizing that we're not alone in these struggles and that these struggles permeate our amazing mountain communities, and we need to come together and support each other in these.
Yeah, thanks, Kat. So who's it for? Mountain Muskox is for professionals, ski patrollers, search and rescue, guides in all seasons. Just in the inherent responsibilities of that profession is a lot of life and death kind of decisions, right? And they can really wear on those individuals, those experiences. Also recreationalists, in any season, whether you're a hiker, a snowmobiler, a climber, a skier, anything, a mountain biker, we want to be a place where people can go, as I said, when accidents happen or near misses come. And then also, for folks who've lost somebody in the mountains, right, whether it's a good friend or a family member, to come to terms with that loss and be in a shared place where they can process that grief. And then also those coping with like loss or injury, and just accumulated stress of, like we kind of said before, that can get hammered into you when you're in these environments all the time and in high risk situations. So I guess many of us can relate to the loss of innocence or joy that comes along with any hard experiences in our life. And when it's attached to something that's also so meaningful and purposeful and often our sense of freedom or escape that we mentioned, right? We want to be able to help people reconnect and rediscover to that innocence and joy that was lost, and also rebuild that strength in community, in our mountain life here, right? Like, it's imagine if we didn't have this mountain life anymore. If it was like part of your life, like say for myself, for like 28 years, like who would I be? Yeah.
Cheryl. So Cheryl's kind of spoke to this, is why are we doing this? Essentially, as humans, we need to connect, we need to be seen, we need to be heard when we're experiencing difficult things. And Muskox was born out of a realization that our mountain communities are really resilient, which is an incredible asset to our communities, but what sometimes can happen is we feel an urge or a need to keep going, to push through, to keep pushing on even when we're still struggling or trying to process something we've experienced. Because trauma, stress, loss, it can feel quite isolating, and it can isolate us. And healing from these experiences doesn't happen in isolation. So our circles are here to provide community around this, essentially, and a space where your feelings or your experiences can be shared and validated. And our goal is really, like Cheryl said, to offer a safe space to recalibrate and reconnect around these pieces.
Yeah, so the circles run once a month on the third Thursday of each month for approximately 2.5 hours. And the dates are there. So our first circle's coming up on the 16th of January, and then monthly after that. And the location is actually in Salmo, because we want it at the Forest Retreat there. It's a beautiful yurt and a really nice healing space. But we also wanted to have somewhere that was central to all of our mountain communities, because Nelson's not alone there, right? Lots of folks from Castlegar or Roslyn or Trail or the points in between. So if any of you know anyone in those communities, please spread the word and let them know this is happening. And as far as like, you know, timing to the event, like we'll welcome anybody that is called to be there, whether the accident or the loss happened many years ago or just last season. If you're called in any way to see what it's about, then we want to see you. And if and you can contact us too. The contacts are coming up. But if you have any questions, whether it's for you or if it's for someone that you know, just ask.
Yeah, and with that, just a little more what to expect from the circles. So we keep them pretty small. It'll be a maximum of 10 to 15 people. And it will start with a check-in, generally a move into some form of educational component. So educating around trauma reactivity, our emotions, resourcing through these pieces, reframing events, those kinds of things. And then folks will be invited into smaller groups to connect, reflect on what the discussion has been, or even just to connect and share whatever is needed that day, or just to connect and hang out if that's what's needed. There's really no pressure, and as we mentioned before, sharing is completely optional in these circles. There's no pressure to come here and share, divulge your story. It's about feeling supported in whatever you've been through. And these pictures here are from the annual immersion in Canmore, which I was able to attend this year, and it was a really beautiful time and really awesome community there. And then we have the Muskox, which...
Yes, so the Muskox, the mountain muskox, when they're faced with threat, they band together and form these outward-facing circles where any of the weak or smaller will be contained within the circle. And so the symbology there that we relate to our groups is that like no one's left behind, that everyone's bound together and everybody is stronger in the community than they are alone. And yeah, and I guess that we don't back down, that resilience is brought from facing hardship, right? And then if we can face it together versus alone, we've got a much better chance at doing it effectively. And yeah, that's it. And so for next steps, you know, Kat and I are going to be here. You can reach out to us and ask us any questions. The easiest way to get more information is just to go to the Mountain Muskox site, which is www.mountainmuskox.com. It's, as Kat said, like there's 4 chapters. It's a really excellent website, and you can just go on there and click on the Kootenai chapter, and there's a button to how to join. And then we'll send you an onboarding package, and there'll be emails coming, and it's really, really pretty slick. And yeah, and then, you know, if there's anyone in the community that's interested to get an effort like this off the ground and keep it sustainable and going, if anyone's got any talents or really organizational skills and that want to lend, we're always open to that and joining our team. And then, again, we're also a registered nonprofit through the Alpine Club of Canada, and so there's no cost for people to join the group, but we look for donations to keep it going, right? Like we've got some big donors backing us, like the ACMG, Alpine Club of Canada, different corporations and things, so lots of individual sponsors too, so we're looking for anything like that, and you can do that on the website too.
Yeah, and with that, if you're interested in knowing more about this or being involved in this conversation or just more fundraising events for this, there is a screening of the Beyond the Edge films coming up this February the 7th at Selkirk College. And this is a screening or a film exploring the intersection of mental health and extreme sports. And all the proceeds from that night will go towards Mountain Muskox. So mark your calendars, that's coming up. And yeah, this was, you know, just a short introduction of what this is. We're bringing this to the Kootenays. We really thank State of the Snowpack for having us here. And yeah, just to reiterate, first circle is coming up January 16th, so pretty quick here, especially with Christmas and everything. So if you know of anybody who's interested or anybody who you think might benefit from coming, or any of you, then yeah, feel free to come and talk to us or go on the website, find out more.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody.
Awesome, everybody. Let's give it up one more time for Kat and Cheryl. That was a really awesome presentation. I think that if you're here and you're attending a State of the Snowpack event, then you probably really do value the community that we have here in the Kootenays. And having that kind of community opportunity right here at home with people who live here and recreate here is super, super valuable to us. So please don't hesitate to look into that and reach out. And hopefully we see everybody at the film screening on February 7th, because that's an awesome way to donate and get involved. Next, we're going to deal with the raffle scene, I believe. Is that correct? So, Kath, you're going to come on up and do the draw with me here? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, Kath. I can't see from there. Okay, so get your little raffle items ready there. And what would you like to raffle off first, Kath?
Let's go with the fanny pack.
Okay, first item up, everybody, is this Hippie, the fanny pack from Northern Ultralight. As Wishy said, great for Shambhala, great for all sorts of other things, and really styling colors, too. So what do we got here, Kath?
We have Cheryl.
Cheryl! Oh! Give it up for Cheryl. Big victory there. Repping the Northern Ultralight from here on out. What do you want to do next?
Grab the gloves.
The gloves? And who donated the gloves? Is that Snowpack? So this is from Snowpack, donated by Snowpack. Looks like we got a sweet Snowpack sticker on here as well. And these are really nice gloves. Those are going to keep you warm out there. That's for sure. Because it's going to get cold this winter. It will. Yeah, I guarantee. Okay, Marge Craig. Marge Craig. Yes, congratulations, Marge. Those are going to be keeping your hands real warm out there today for sure. Coming up next, we're going to go with the footbeds. The Sidus custom footbeds. I actually got a pair of these done just this year, and it's changed my life entirely. These things are ridiculous. And these are going to Crystal Petrie. Crystal, where's Crystal? All right, we got 5 seconds, Crystal. You got to be here to win. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Crystal's gone. Bummer. These things are the real deal. Big value. Okay, Denise Morris. Do we have a Denise Morris out there? Oh, yes, Denise. You're going to have some happy feet this year. And those ones were donated by Jerix, I believe. Okay, up next we got the Rome Phantom Wax. Never have to wax your skis again. And then you can put a sticker on them. They'll be extra fast. Wow, it is an all-ladies victory night tonight. Allie Moore. Where's Allie Moore? No? Yes? Oh, there we go. There you go, Allie. Okay, coming up next. We got the Village Ski Hut scene here. So we got, it looks like a buff, a toque, and a gift card. Pretty sweet value here. And this one's going to Cameron Butler. Cameron Butler. Is there a Cameron Butler out there? No dice. Oh, yes, dice. There we go. There he is. There you are, my man. Nice. All right, this one is, I just want to make sure I don't say the wrong thing here. 1 day ticket at Whitewater. Day ticket at Whitewater. This one's going to Scott Matson. Yeah, Scott. Big victory. And we got another day ticket at Whitewater. Oh, yeah, it's going to Emily Osler. Nice. Sweet. And then that is all, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for coming out to State of the Snowpack. We really appreciate you coming around and being a part of this awesome community. So have a great night. And please thank the team here at the Royal. It's so great that we get to have these events here. And make sure you tip the staff well. Have a great one, everybody. Happy holidays. Yee!